What's a story from your life that sounds like a lie but is absolutely true?
When I was 10, I got lost in the woods near our house. As the sun was setting, I started to panic. Out of nowhere, a dog appeared and led me back to the trail. When I got home, I told my parents about the dog. They were shocked because our family dog, who matched the description perfectly, had died 2 years earlier in those same woods.
Did you not recognize him?
Good job on understanding the assignment. This does sound like a lie.
My mom kidnapped me and hid me at her drug dealer's house for a week. No one would take my dad seriously because she's her mom and she hid her crazy well, so he had to borrow a friend's car to secretly track her down and break in to get me. That sounds terrifying. Shout out to your dad for not giving up.
This sounds like a story told to me by Crazy Nick at the pool hall when I waitressed there, though his story also involved the FBI somehow.
Your dad is awesome.
I was felling some dead trees with my dad. He says, "Let's just get this last one and then we'll break for lunch." I cringed instantly, knowing shit was going to go sideways on this last tree. Sure enough, the tree comes down on top of him and he's trapped under it. I was a 15 to 16-year-old girl. I couldn't even wrap my arms around this big-ass tree, but I grabbed an adze, wedged it under the tree and somehow lifted it enough for him to scoot out from under it. One of those adrenaline things.
It mostly happens on dangerous tasks when people decide to do one more before they finish.
Every single time.
I think I've told this on similar threads before. When I was 5 years old, my dad owned a carpet cleaning company. One weekend day he was just cleaning it out and I remember jumping in and out of the van. My dad told me to knock it off and go inside. So I jumped out, walked like 5 steps and 2 people were speeding, got into a head-on collision and crashed into that van. I was literally in the van 3 seconds earlier. Oh yeah, and everyone involved died. I was at a bar around 4 a.m. in Central America with 3 friends. 2 dudes come in, get patted down by the guard for weapons, and take a seat next to the door. They don't order anything to drink, which I found odd. A few moments later, they each pulled a hidden gun from out of their boots and start shooting at 2 dudes sitting at the bar. Apparently one of the dudes was a boat captain and had lost a large cash shipment belonging to one of the major drug cartels. My reaction to the shooting was to run for the door, which put me in the crossfire. When I got home, I had a red stripe from a near miss right above my navel, and a piece of ricocheted bullet was in my lower back. A few days later, I heard they were looking for the gringo witness with the green car. I had my car painted another color that same day.
I got bit by a lion and survived. How do we know you survived?
The lion assumed his identity? A copycat?
When I was 8 or 9, my mom told me to go out and play. Within 10 minutes, I was being chased by a man on a horse who was trying to whip me. Whenever I was bad, my mom used to ground me if I enjoyed going out. But if I was in the staying in mode, my mom would force me out of the house to do something and stop pissing her off indoors. So, I had been indoors playing games for a few days, and my mom booted me and my brother out, saying, "Get out and play football or something in the garages." We did, kicking the ball at the back wall that separated the garages outside the back of my mom's house. The ball went over the wall, and my brother hopped over to get it. We didn't know there was a group of boys on the other side who grabbed the ball and booted it at a horse walking by with its owner on it. My brother didn't see what had happened in the 15 seconds it took for him to climb over the wall, so he went over and picked up our ball. I hopped on the wall and saw him walk back with the ball and he threw it over. Then some guy on a horse started screaming at us before charging towards us on his horse, going absolutely mental. "You little fucking shits," he was shouting, "get the fuck down here now, kick that fucking ball at my horse again." We were like, "What the fuck are you on about?" The 3 boys that did it were laughing and running off. The guy chased them down the road but then came back at us, absolutely foaming at the mouth with rage. We were pretty much trapped on the garage roofs with this man trying to hit us with the horsewhip, trying to calm him down and make him understand that we weren't with the other group of boys and we'd just come outside to play football in the garages. But this guy just lost it. He started chasing every child he saw in the area, full-on galloping down a residential road where all the kids were playing outside the front of my mom's house. It was absolutely crazy to watch. Had he hit a child with his horse, he could have ended up killing one, but he was chasing up and down the road any child that he saw. Eventually, he fucked off after around 20 to 30 parents came out from the houses and went mental at him. I don't think the police were called, and that was the end of it. Never saw the guy again after that, and my mum was fuming. It seemed like no matter what we did, we'd always find a way to piss her off.
I had a widowmaker heart attack at 34. I ended up in a medically induced coma for 5 weeks where I endured having my chest open for 11 days, a staph infection that nearly cost me my right, both bacterial and viral pneumonia, and I bled constantly for an entire weekend. A machine was used to keep me alive until I was healthy enough to receive a heart transplant. When I was finally healthy enough to be placed on the transplant list, I was only on the list for 7 hours before I received my transplant. After 79 days in the hospital, I walked out of the front door. I've had my transplanted heart for 15 years. On second glance, I guess this doesn't necessarily sound like a lie. It sounds like a script from Grey's Anatomy or The Resident.
That's dramatic as fuck. Had no idea they went to such extremes to keep people alive. I somehow doubt doctors would work half as hard to keep me around.
Yeah. It was pretty fucking traumatic. One day you're riding your mountain bike at the end of July, the next thing you know it's September.
I went to my boss, asked for promotion and pay raise, and I got it.
This is the most unbelievable story here. Poppycock.
What a beautiful story.
I once successfully argued during raise negotiations for almost double what they were planning to give me. Apparently the CEO found my argument persuasive. Surprised the hell out of me, I really wasn't sure it would work.
A seagull once dropped a whole mackerel on my head. I smelled like dead fish all day.
You got fresh hunted fish. Stop complaining.
This is my favorite. It's so mundane yet so absurd. It absolutely sounds like a ridiculous yarn Grandpa would tell you. Miserably stinking of fish all day. That's a grim fate, my friend.
A seagull dropped a crab on my bald head once. Not sure which one of us it was trying to crack open, maybe both.
When I was a little kid, I saw a bunch of pigeons at McDonald's. I told Dad I really wanted a pet pigeon and he said no because pigeons are wild animals. We got home and there was a grounded pigeon in the backyard that we nursed back to health. We didn't have many pigeons in the area. A little while later I told Dad I wanted a new pet rabbit. He said no because we already had one. A little while later our neighbor called us and said she saw a big white bunny hop under our house. So Grandpa got him out and we named him George and kept him. Finally, a few weeks later I told my parents I wanted a parakeet, and they said absolutely no more birds. Then out of nowhere, a blue budgie came fluttering out of the sky and landed on the landscaper's shoulder. And of course we kept it. Immediately after Dad told me to wish for a big bag of money, but the miracles ran out after that. Asked Mom as an adult if she set the thing up with the bunny and she said no, it literally just came out of nowhere and wound up under the house. On a less exciting note, we ran into Hulk Hogan at the airport going to Disneyland, and him and Mom talked about parenting for like 10 minutes.
If you have a similar anecdote, don't hesitate to comment. I hope you like the stories. Subscribe and see you in another video. Goodbye.